You never know when a day hike can turn into an unexpected night out, and that's why I always carry the s.o.l emergency shelter kit. In our scenario here, storms rolling in, we're moving a bit slower, and we needed to essentially bivvy. So we found this nice overhung rock here and decided to use that as part of our shelter and create a type of A-frame with the rock on one side, and using the s.o.l emergency shelter kit, the heavy-duty emergency blanket found in there. We were looking for trees that we could use for anchors, or this overhung rock is a perfect natural shelter to use. In the wilderness, just like rock climbing compared to gym climbing, the holds aren't always obvious. And it felt a lot like rock climbing when I was finding places to put the cord on. Up in the top left corner there was an easy little horn of rock to sling the rope around. On the other side, we had a crack that was negative sloped. I just could not figure out how to loop anything around it. So what I ended up doing is making a couple overhand knots on the rope and used that rope like a piece of climbing protection and wedged it inside the crack. And from there, I was able to use the micro cord tensioner to make the top right-hand corner nice and taut. Grommets aren't always needed to anchor an emergency blanket. In this case, I was able to find tiny round pebbles, put them inside the blanket to essentially create a catch for the paracord to then loop around. So I wouldn't recommend taking your typical Mylar blanket and putting a rock in there to use as an anchor point. That would shred up the blanket immediately. But with our heat sheets material, and in particular the heavy-duty emergency blanket, it is super durable and super reliable to put a pebble in like that and give it a nice tug, and you don't have to be afraid that you'll tear your blanket. For this one bivvy out, or even a second night's bivvy out, the blanket will withstand that use. Whether using the C stakes, or using rocks, or using trees, whatever it may be, even trekking poles. Once that's done, you want to then adjust the blanket so it's nice and taut. Potentially even lowering the corners to deal with the wind and rain, and crawl in and survive the night.